Hey guys, I'm Vicky and welcome to this Jersey Girl's home. This is my pantry that my husband built me over the winter last year because I really started growing a lot of our food and bulk canning things so that I was getting a better price on my options. So I just want to give you a quick tour of it to show you what is going on here. Over here I have all my fruit items, pie fillings, juice, jelly and jams, my butters, and any specialty items such as cranberry sauce, applesauce, honey oranges, which is really, really good. And then I just have my cut up fruits. So pears, apples, pineapples, that's what I have so far. Some of these things we used a lot, some of them we didn't. So some things I have to replenish and some things I do not have to do this year yet. So last year my peach tree produced a ton of peaches. It probably did a few bushels worth in one tray. And so I have a ton of peach items. I had made peach jam, vanilla peach topping, peach cobbler jam, and I made peach barbecue sauce. So there was quite a few things that I did that I will not have to do this year, but I have some new ideas of what to do with my peach tree this year, depending on what I get out of it. So anyway, so here's the middle part. I have my broths up here that I made over the winter. And we have ham, beef, minestrone soup broth, chickens, and a mushroom soup broth, which is really good in a lot of recipes. You're going to use cream of mushroom soup. This is exactly what that is, except it doesn't have the cream in it. You just add it before you mix it in. So then I have my condiments, and right now I have Dijon mustard, cranberry ketchup, which, to be quite honest, we haven't really tried it, and it kind of gelled up almost like a jelly. I'm a little reluctant to try it. I'm not sure why. I made it excited, but then I was like, is that kind of weird? I tasted it, it was good, but I haven't gone out of my way to use it. Apple barbecue sauce, which was absolutely amazing. Peach barbecue sauce, which was also amazing. And plum sauce. Now, we only have 2 of these left. And canning condiments, the one thing I did realize is I don't want to can them in big portions. Not that pints are big, but I'd rather do it where if I'm going to use it as a marinade or I'm going to use it as something, I'm not going to have to use it really quickly after for another meal. So half pints and quarter pints are how I will be doing that from now on. Then we have our vegetables. So beets, potatoes, carrots, corn, and then my pickled items. So far that is what we have going on here. Over here were my tomato products. And I do have 2 shelves allocated to that because we go through a lot of tomato sauce. So I wanted a lot of space for that, and we are fresh completely out. We have been for a long time. Here we have our beans, some more tomato products like tomato jam, enchilada sauce, which we are completely out of, sloppy joe mix, curried tomato preserves, and balsamic tomato chutney. And some of those, they're good, but I wouldn't really make them again. It's not something that we craved, but they are good on meatloafs and stuff like that. And then I have my pre-made meals, which we also really enjoy for an easy, quick dinner. Over here is just mostly store-bought stuff, just honey and sugars and sweet maple syrup sweeteners. Over here, I have my homemade sweeteners, which are my syrups. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. Like and share my videos. Jessica at the 3 Rivers Homestead has started a challenge, Every It Counts challenge, and it's through the month of August, and you preserve something every single day in the idea that your pantry will benefit from a little bit of something every day. If you have time to do a lot, you could do a lot. But committing to making just a little bit makes the month go a lot easier. You'll see the abundance at the end of the time frame. My plan is every day to make sure that I post a short showing you what I need so that you can see that I'm doing something each day. My videos will show more detail. If you're looking for how to make something or what I did to make something and my plans, then definitely check out my videos because they will be more details than my shorts, which will just show you what I'm doing each day. So preservation options, I have a freeze dryer, a dehydrator, a pressure canner, a water bath canner, freezers. You can also air dry if you wanted to. One of the things that I did to prepare for this was to make sure that I had jars, which over the winter I just would buy a couple cases here and there of different sizes. If there were sales, I took advantage of those, and so I have not planned on buying any lids or jars, but if you haven't done that and you're planning on canning, if you do not think you're going to have enough, then I would suggest going out, because there's nothing worse than getting in the middle of something and realizing you do not have enough cans. Be prepared with your supplies. The block bags are another great thing for freezing. If you get freezer bags, they are super easy and convenient. So I suggest getting those if you plan on putting a lot in your freezers. The next thing that I did after making sure all my supplies were taken care of, I inventoried what I had, and in that inventory, what needed to be used up first. First part was to go into my fridge and say, what produce did I put in here from the garden that needs to get used up so that it doesn't spoil? I made that list, and I currently have carrots, green beans, pickling cucumbers, zucchini patty pans, red noodle beans, green peppers, pickle brine, and some onions. I have a couple of lemons, and I do have garlic, but the garlic does not have to be used up right away at all. It's actually sitting on my counter. It's just an option if I need to use it. Then I went to my freezer inventory, and I have thrown in my freezer over this season so far strawberries, tomatoes, pineapples, blackberries, black raspberries, not blackberries, rhubarb, peppers, and honeyberries. So those are things I can also work with if I want to remove them from the freezer, which I do, because tomatoes will be pouring in very quickly, and if I can't get to them fast enough, I want to be able to throw them in the freezer so that they don't over ripen or anything. And then it will be the holidays before we know it, and I need room in my freezers for any excess food at that point. Next thing that I went and did was I made a list of things that I could make and want to make, starting with I walked through my pantry and found where there were blank spots of things that we used a lot of and either are extremely low or ran out of, and I put that at the top of my list. The next thing that I did was made a list of the things that we do use. We might still have some, but I know won't make us through the next year. I wrote those on there. And then I wrote a list of all the things that I wanted to can that interested me but weren't a priority. With that list, now I can look at the things that need to get done, the list of things I need to use up, what's coming from the garden, and what I can get in bulk at my local farm stands. And that will be how I decide what gets done first. I wanted to show you upstairs off my kitchen in our dining room. We have a table filled with some of our canning jars. Some are washed and being reused, and some are new if we need them. In here we have plastic freezer containers, our pressure canners, and here I typically have our water bath canner right now, but it was being used. Off to the right we have the dehydrator, an Instapot, and a big roaster. Also have an electric pressure canner. And then off my kitchen I have a table with my fresh produce that has just come from the garden. So everybody has different reasons for stocking their pantry, right? grow a lot of my produce, so stocking my pantry with fresh produce that is grown by me saves me a ton of money for my family. Plus, we get organic because I don't use any type of man-made chemicals that are not organic or pesticides. And the flavor is incredible when it comes right out of the garden. It cannot beat fresh picked homegrown food. If that could be an option for you, try it. Just try it. But if it's not, getting produce in bulk or frozen produce and leaving it out and canning it so you don't have to worry about it taking up your freezer space or not having enough freezer space, you can have shelf-stable food at a better cost. For instance, I do not grow my own mushrooms, and this mushroom soup that I made ended up costing a tenth of what it would cost for me to buy 1 jar of mushroom soup at the store. I think I bought the mushrooms on sale for 99 cents, and I ended up with tons and tons and tons of mushroom soup. So save money, fresh food, using up things so that your freezer space isn't taken up, and of course, if you are worried about what could happen with our world, I know a lot of people are very nervous and feel the need to up their home food supply, and if you are a prepper or stocker, then this is also a very efficient way to get your pantry loaded up for a less expensive cost than if you were buying the jars from the store in cans already processed. That is that. Let's head up to the kitchen and check out my recipe books. I love food in jars. It's for small batches, and they have really, really great recipes that aren't necessarily in all of your other books. They have some really good options. Okay, preserving with Pomona's pectin is another favorite, and if you want low sugar options, this is where you will find really good recipes. The Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving is a really, really great recipe book for many options on water bath canning. They just have a lot of variations and a lot of options in this book. This is the Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving, and it was my very first canning book that I had gotten, which also has really good recipes. Some are repeated in the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, and some are not listed in there at all. So definitely get both of them. Okay, and then I also really love this book. This is one of my favorites. It has a lot of water bath canning recipes and recipes to use those items. So like, here's an example. Spicy apple jalapeno jelly, which you might not think to make, okay, but then it also will tell you that using this item, you can make fresh cherry salsa, and here is the recipe for it. So I think that's really cool. And then towards the back of the book, it does have a really good section for pressure canning. And then some freezer items. Again, it will tell you different ways you can use those. And I believe there might be some dehydrating. Yep. Okay, here's my Amish canning book, which I also enjoy using. It does have pressure canning and water bath canning. Okay, here is my newest pressure canning book that I am super excited to use this year. It does have some recipes that are just single ingredient, like corn or your veggies and meats and stuff, and then it has more complex recipes, so like pork and beans, southwestern hummus in a jar. It also will tell you what ingredients need to go into it and what you would put into it when you're serving. So here's another example. So Swedish meatballs, you're gonna need these items to can your recipe, and then you would use these items when serving. The Complete Guide to Pressure Canning is another really good one for pressure canning recipes. My only suggestion would be to kind of know your pressure canning rules pretty well prior to using this, because there are some recipes that I wouldn't use all the ingredients to can, just because I don't trust canning dairy ingredients, and it is not an approved method. So for those things, I would just be aware. I mean, maybe you are okay with that and that can work for you, and that's fine. But for me, I just think that a new canner, that this, just do your research first. Okay, great. I love using this book, Freeze Fresh. It is great for using stuff in the freezer, but it's also great for knowing options with the freeze dryer. So it again has recipes on how to use items, recipes that you can freeze. So you could do candied jalapeno slices and put them in the freezer. Caramel pear butter. Their basil pesto is really, really good. That's the one that I've been using. Here's an eggplant dip. Okay, lots of really great stuff in there. And then here's a dehydrating book, which is also really great for freeze drying and dehydrating purposes. You can find the best methods for preparing your food for these preservation options. And then in the back, you can find lots of recipes on how to use them, or ways to put them together so that things are already ready, and then how to prepare it. It also has seasoning blends in here. So it's a really great book, a really great option. Last but not least, you gotta enjoy this challenge. If you don't enjoy the challenge, you need to do something more simple and stop putting so much pressure on yourself. This is a fun way to load up your pantry, get all that stuff saved and not wasted. So enjoy it. Take the time to enjoy it. Don't be a superhero and make complex things every day and wear yourself out after the first week. There's 31 days. You're gonna get the pantry stocked up. You can have days where they're amazing. You can have days where it's very, very, very simple. Throw something in the freezer. Hang up a bundle of herbs to air dry. Don't stress about what you're actually doing and just do it. And of course, watch out for my shorts. They will be coming out every day to let you know what I am up to. And my future videos during this challenge will show you more detail. What's going on? What are we eating? What are we saving? How are we making this happen? I will see you tomorrow. This video is going up the day before the challenge officially starts.